Hey friends, it is the very tail end of September, and mostly today is going to be one of my favorite days of the year, which is Sweet Potato Harvest Day, and I'm super excited and looking forward to that. And I'll go into a little bit about why I'm picking today for that when we get to that. But I wanted to take you on a little tour just of the backyard garden. It looks very similar at the Far Garden. So there's nothing particularly different up there to show you, but there are just still things happening. And I'm always surprised at this time of year how many things are still happening. So let me show you. So let's start over here. The peppers are still just putting on tons and tons of peppers. I get a basket full of peppers, like a decent sized basket full of peppers, probably every week still. And I wait until they're starting to turn. So, these are the peppers that I'm taking. And then obviously there's still tons and tons of green peppers on these plants. So, if at the last moment we don't get to harvest until just before the frost, that's fine. We did take all of our celery out, but they were putting on some new shoots because I did leave the roots in the ground. Our celeriac didn't get planted until it was far too late in the season. So there are little tiny baby celeriacs in there, but that's okay. We replanted some radishes, so there's some radishes. These are some beets. This was a second or third round, I think, of beets. And they have some time yet to grow. They'll be fine for another month or so up here. The basil finally went to flower. The second round of cilantro, some of it's starting to go to flower. But this all still just looks kind of ridiculously nice. We planted in a third round of radishes over here. That's the first round back there. I've picked a few and they're looking really good. This is where we attempted to plant brassicas after the ones in the Far Garden failed. And, they've sprouted. They're growing, but they're not going to make it to maturity before we are just so deep into the frost that they can't do it anymore. We have these fancy things in here that I am still very sure are daikon radishes that I got from our friend at the Far Garden, and they are looking great. So they'll keep going for another few weeks here too to size up. Our fall round of spinach is really starting to produce. I left these bean plants. I'm surprised that they still have flowers on them, but I'm gonna let them go and keep doing it. These are just green beans, so if they make another round, great. I'd be surprised it's cooling off enough that it's not gonna be amazing for them. And these radishes are getting pretty large for radishes, so I will probably get some more of those out of here soon. This is Miss Molly. She's very interested in all things garden and likes to keep us company out here. We have done a good bit of fertilizing and pruning on these fruit trees this year in the hopes that next year will be a better year for them. This is what I'm still so surprised by. And again, we haven't had a frost. I shouldn't be that surprised, but man, these tomato plants are just out of control and still so green and so happy. They have taken over this entire bed. There is, in theory, still a row of kohlrabi right along the front here. But, wildly overtaken by the tomato plants, and I'm fine with that. Having fresh tomatoes for another few weeks sounds fantastic. A lot of these are cherry tomato plants, but they're still popping out cherry tomatoes. And then we still have, a couple of our more sizable tomatoes in there. I take them out as soon as they start blushing so that the bunnies don't eat them, but still lots and lots and lots of tomatoes out here. We've already made everything that we want to make in terms of canning for tomatoes, so the rest of this is just for fresh eating, which is amazing. This is where I'm hoping to plant my garlic this year though, so there is a part of me that's just waiting for that frost so that I can get all this out and get my garlic planted, which it will happen in the next 4 weeks for sure. Maybe the next week, who knows? But it doesn't look like it. It looks like, you know, we're 50s to 70s for the next week. Everything back here is a hot mess. Lots and lots of powdery mildew on the pumpkin plants and the second round of cucumbers that did not produce very much. Cucumbers were just not our thing this year. Again, some more beets, some zucchini plants that have seen better days, but you know, there's still a zucchini here and there. So, you know, even if I only get a couple a week, that's fine. One last little pumpkin over there. I don't know if you can see that. The raspberry plants have looked better, but they still have raspberries on them that are trying to come to ripen up. And then these, I don't know what kind I have, to be honest with you. I can't remember what I planted. But these are not floricanes. So floricanes are usually fruit on second year growth. These I cut back every year, and every year they pop up. They give me a first year or a spring harvest of raspberries, and then they do this again in the fall. So I'm just gonna keep cutting them back because that's been working out for us. So that's most of it. Our flower patch is petering out. We still have a few pretty flowers here and there. The blue morning glories are finally waking up. I was surprised that they took so long, but now they're taking over everything. But that's kind of it for back here. So most of what today is going to be is we are going to take you along for that sweet potato harvest out front, and I'm so excited. So hang tight and we'll get there in just a minute. All right, friends. So like I was saying, today is going to be sweet potato harvest day. Now, a few things that we need to understand about sweet potatoes before we really get into the harvesting part. They are a very long season growing vegetable, and I am in the north. So we do have a long enough season for them. It's not generally hot enough for them, and sometimes it's not actually long enough for them. But this season we did pretty well. We started at the very end of May. I cover them with just some frost covers, blankets, to get them started. Sometimes the bunnies eat off all their leaves. That happened last year. This year we managed to keep the bunnies away long enough that they really got some vigor on them. They don't love when temperatures drop below 50 degrees. We are coming up to some days like that. Normally that would not be enough for me to decide to pull them, but I don't know if you can see this in the camera. These leaves are just no longer looking green and luscious. So I think they're just done for the season. They put on some flowers here a little bit ago, and I think it's just time for them to come up. They do need at least 120 days. It is the very, very end of September, so we've had all of September, August, July, and June. So that should be long enough to get at least a few decent sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes really are a southern plant. They grow very, very well in the south and in the really hot climates. And they don't usually grow amazingly well up here for us. So if I get even a few really nice ones that we can have for Thanksgiving dinner, that would be amazing. After we pick the sweet potatoes, we do need to do something called curing them. Sweet potatoes like high humidity, high heat for their curing. So if you can find a place that's 80 degrees and 80% humidity, that is what sweet potatoes prefer for their curing environment. I usually don't have that. So I put them in some plastic bags in a sunny spot in the house and hope for the best. And that seems to work out fine. They last well into the spring if I haven't eaten them by then. So that's it. We're gonna get into this. These are growing in containers out here. These are just grow bags. I think I have some 20-gallon grow bags and some 15-gallon grow bags. So I put, 3 in the slightly bigger ones and 2 in the slightly smaller ones. Some of them made it, some of them didn't, but we're gonna get in here. Let's see how many bags I have. I can't even remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 9 grow bags out here. The soil in these grow bags is a mixture of just compost and perlite, because sweet potatoes, like all other root vegetables, like something light and airy. So we did that. They handle drought really well, so containers is okay for them. It's best if you can get out and water them regularly, but if you can't, they really can handle a little bit of drought without too much trouble. But I'm excited. I did bring gloves because this gets to be quite the messy chore, and I did bring my wheelbarrow because I will probably just dump them into the wheelbarrow. I'm actually gonna go grab some scissors because I am gonna cut off these tops before we get too far into this. You can eat the leaves of sweet potato plant. They are edible. We don't particularly love them, so we don't really eat them. The bunnies, however, very into them. So all of these will just go into the compost for this year. All right, I will be back once I get the scissors. All right, friends, we got our scissors, we got our gloves. Let's get into it. Oh my gosh, guys, this mint plant is mostly dead, but still smells so strong and so amazing. Smells so good. All right, I'm not sure that I can wait through clipping all of these, so I think I might just clip them as we go and take them out because I'm just too excited about this. So let's see what we got. This first little one. Ooh, looks like we might have clipped some mints. These grow bags are kind of heavy. It has been reasonably dry the last few days, so better to do when they're dry. The soil that's in here will either just go right back into these grow bags, or we'll top off some of these other pots, or some of it will go into the compost bin. For our first sweet potato, it is a little split. So sometimes that happens when they are in drought for a little while. They can split. This was one of our smaller grow bags. Sometimes I get lots and lots of skinny little ones, but I'm not actually seeing any skinny little ones this year so far. All right, so not a ton. It looks like just a couple from each of those plants, but they are a decent size. So I am okay with that. So there were only 2 vines in that plant, or in that bag. We only got 4 sweet potatoes, but that is just fine with me. They do look a little aged, but that's okay. All right, this next one I think has 3, 1, 2, 3. So let's see what we get here. These grow bags are probably 8 years old, so they are starting to fall apart a little bit. Buried treasure. Sorry, I was trying to get it in the wheelbarrow and then decided it was too heavy. Pull it back over where you can see. So I'm really just going in right where those roots were, because like I said, it doesn't look like I'm getting offshoots in the same way that I have in some years past. They look like they're really kind of right around those where they should be. Look at that. That's a real sweet potato. All right, so that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes we get these beautiful little things like this. Sometimes we get dozens of them. Some years I would think this is way too big of a basket, but I actually think this year that we might need it. That's just 2 plants, guys, or 2 bags. I'm excited. Did you see where I put my scissors? Oh dear. I got so excited about moving on from the cutting that I may have lost my scissors. Okay. Guys, this is so much fun. Come here. There's this really big one and I can't get it out. Come here. Sweet potatoes, sweet potatoes. We will definitely have enough for a good Thanksgiving this year. There are, I feel like some years I get more, but they are usually much, much smaller in the years when I get more. So again, for a northern garden, this is fantastic sweet potatoes. I am very pleased. A couple little ones, a couple big ones. I think I did add more vermiculite this year than I have added in years past, so that might be why they've been able to grow a little bit bigger, is because they had just a little bit of a looser soil to do it in, which if that's all it takes, I am happy to provide. Hopefully this one rooted itself. This is easier to do if I can dump it out in the, into something, but my helper's out here with me this year, so, and these are heavy this year, which probably just means I got good, this good production is just making them a little heavier. All right, I will probably when I do get a helper, come through and dump these out just to be on the safe side and make sure we didn't miss any. But I think we got everything out of this bag that we are going to get. All right, friends, just from that one little pocket, one little plant in this bucket. You know, gardening is like that. Some years are good and some years are bad. Last year, the bunnies really got at my sweet potatoes and ate all the tops off 3 or 4 times in a row. And so I got just enough sweet potatoes really to start slips for this year. And this year, clearly we're doing a little bit better than that. So this is super exciting. And just like everything else in my garden, I did leave these a couple of times to be babysat by other people. So they probably did have some pretty irregular watering. You know, I'm seeing a lot of splitting on them. And that is probably from, you know, they did probably have some drought-like conditions for a little while. And then I would come back and water them and they'd get lots of water. So there's some splitting, but that splitting is healing over just fine. And these, if cured properly, should store just as well as their unsplit counterparts. All right, this one, you can see how sweet potatoes grow. This one tried to root out at a number of points along its stem, and so we are getting some smaller ones from that. That is not ideal with the sweet potatoes. You really want to try and keep them from putting roots other places, because then you do get more sweet potatoes that are just much smaller. So yeah, from this root, it looks like they're a little on the smaller side. But still, not bad. You know, sometimes in a northern garden, that's the biggest you ever get, so. I don't think you could probably grow sweet potatoes any further north than this, sort of a 5 at max. Just because you wouldn't have a long enough growing season. We do have the length that we need for it, but it's just usually not hot enough for them for half of that growing season. So it's always a little bit of a questionable harvest, but we're only about halfway through and we've got like half a basket already, so that's amazing. See your sweet potatoes making me happy. All right, I put the scissors right under me. Let's move on to the next bag. This is one of the smaller bags, so I don't expect it to have as many because there were less roots in here. To start with, oh, it actually looks like only one of them survived as well, so I hope these ones are big. There's just the one set in here. Hard to know. So not huge, but sort of average size. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from that one little root. So I'll take it. 8 from that bag in general would have been good. So the fact that it was just that one little root in there, I did a good job. Oh, and there's even a couple more smaller ones a little further out. Well, that's exciting. All right, let's see if we can get you to the rest of these. It looks like we got 3 vines in here. There was earlier in the season, there was something over here. I expect there to be a little bit less because somebody dug in there and got at a couple of the potatoes when they were babies, so I just pulled them out because they were half eaten. But I don't think that was this one. I think that was one of those ones over there somewhere. All right, you're watching me. I'm putting them down. They're right there. I already have one kind of sticking up here. Not bad. A good start. Oh my goodness. A couple little ones to go with that big one. On the side, these ones are a little deeper than the other ones have been. I wonder if I planted this root a little deeper. Oh my goodness. I have to look back and see if I did anything different when I planted these this year. I don't think I did, but this is definitely the best sweet potato year we've had in a very long while. Ooh, get that guy. Whoop. guess is that that's most of what's in this bag. Let's just pour it out. All right, 3 more to go. We might speed through this and I'll just show you what we get at the very end, okay? All right, friends, it is starting to spit on us just a little bit here, but I just want to show you what we got out of that. And this is just a little square of my driveway. that I put some containers in, and I put some soil in, and I grew some sweet potato slips from some organic sweet potatoes. So those are all the bags that grew them. And this is what we got. This giant basket of sweet potatoes. I'm super excited. It is gonna take me a minute to figure out where exactly to cure that many sweet potatoes, because I've never gotten a huge basket like that before. So, yay, sweet potato harvest day. I will, again, I'm just gonna put them in plastic bags, like grocery bags. Tie them up, that'll help keep the humidity in from where they are right now, and try and find someplace warm for them to be for at least a week. Two, if I can manage to keep my husband from moving them around. All right, well, so there's still stuff coming out of the garden at the very end of September. Things are starting to wind down, but it's just always so exciting. We did have an entire video that you will have missed because somehow my microphone didn't turn on. We did all kinds of tomato processing and freeze drying of fun things. Maybe I'll show you pictures at the end of this of what all that looked like. But otherwise, it was nice to see you again, friends. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Happy to answer, happy to engage.